Hey, everybody. Welcome to another great podcast here at the REDX podcast. And we do have a great one for you today. I have joining me here, Hoss Pratt. Hoss, say hi to the audience real quick.
Hello, everybody.
We are excited. Hoss is a good friend of REDX, a good friend of mine. And today you can see behind him, listing boss. You're going to find out why people call Hoss the listing boss. And we're going to deep dive into FSBOs and other topics with Hoss. But before we get going, just a couple housekeeping items. Of course, we want to make sure you never miss an episode of the REDX podcast. So just go to redx.com/podcast to subscribe and listen wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcasts. And also today's a participatory event. We want to take your questions. Hoss is going to answer them because he is the expert. And so feel free to throw them in the chat. And to get started, just say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from, and we'll say hi back, and then we'll get going. But I'm excited because we're going to let Hoss tell a little bit of a story. I always love hearing about how you got started, Hoss. And so if you don't mind, just share a little bit about yourself and maybe share how you got started with FSBOs.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Thank you, REDX, for having me. This is my favorite place to be, talking about my favorite topics. Which is listings, and in listings is for sale by owners, because they literally saved me my career. You know, I've been in real estate 20 years. I got into real estate when I was in my early 20s. And how it happened was I was from Missouri. I decided not to go to college. I had a mentor who took me under his wing. He was a millionaire. He gave me several pieces of advice. And one of the things he said is you need to move. I go, why? He said, because you belong in Texas. I go, where at in Texas? He says, Dallas, Texas. And I go, okay. So I moved to Texas, and I didn't have a job. I didn't know a single soul here. And I ended up getting in real estate in my early 20s, got my real estate license, and I failed miserably. Like, I blew my life savings within 6 months. I didn't take a single listing, not a single buyer. I didn't sell a single house. And I was frustrated. I was almost at a point where I was going to move back home because I failed. And so this is what I want to encourage everybody is you're only one piece of information away from achieving any level of success that you want to achieve. That's why you can't quit, because you're only one thing away. And for me, there was the day that I pull into my real estate office and I see 5 wrapped Hummers. Like, it was the first time I ever seen a Hummer, like the vehicle, and it was wrapped, and it had this young guy's picture on the side. And I walk into my broker's office. I go, who is this guy? She goes, oh, that's Michael. And he just moved here from another office. And I go, I got to see what he's doing. And I go, where's his office? She goes, right down the hall. So I go down there, knock on his door. I said, bro, what are you doing? He's my age. And he goes, well, what are you doing for business? I go, man, I just got done driving around looking for sale by owners. And, I'm going to take a stab at that. And he looks outside. He goes, is that your truck out there, that F-350 diesel? I go, yeah. He goes, man, that spends a lot of money in gas driving around, huh? I go, yeah. He goes, don't you know there's services that will send you a list of all the FSBOs with their phone numbers and contact info every day? You see, Rob, I never heard of such a thing. I didn't know these services exist. And so, and this was to be REDX early on. And I went back home. I subscribed to the service. And that very day, I started calling FSBOs. And I took my first listing that day. And I was blown away. And I was like, I got it. Like, this is it. Now I have people to talk to. Now I know, I can have the contacts coming to me. I don't got to go looking for them. And so I started going after FSBOs. And I took, in that first month, I took 30 listings in 30 days.
Awesome. That is awesome.
And this is 6 months in. So I was at my first year. This is no business my first 6 months. And then that 6th month, I discovered FSBOs in your service, and it turned everything around. I became rookie of the year my first year. I closed like 8 or 9 million my first year, all of which was my second part of my first year. All of those were listings. Most were for sale by owners. And it turned everything around. And I just got really good at the FSBO niche. And it's my favorite topic because it literally did save me in real estate. fast forward 20 years later, I wrote a book, Listing Boss. You know, I've trained and coached thousands of real estate agents on how to put signs in the ground, how to get listings. And I'm such a fan of the FSBO niche. And the reason is because it gives you people to call. It gives you people to connect with, so you can have conversations about real estate. And
that's it. Yeah.
And that's the key is, this is for our listeners, is the reason you need to go after FSBOs is so you're having meaningful conversations with prospective sellers about real estate. And there's no niche like for sale by owners that allow you to have the amount of conversations that you will have. I mean, what a gift, to be able to have 20 to 40 conversations with people who want to sell their house. And I tell everybody, Robert, any agent, I think it's a sin not to go after FSBOs and market to them. As a new agent, every agent needs to cut their teeth on the FSBO niche, because they're going to have the conversations they need to have that will eventually lead to the confidence, the conviction, and the authenticity to believe what it is that they're saying.
Yeah. And what I love about your story, Hoss, and as people are tuning in, if we were in front of a live audience, I could say how many felt like Hoss in his first 6 months and your first couple months of real estate. And I think almost everyone would raise their hand and be like, yeah, I jumped in and I didn't know where to start and found myself a little bit lost. And so that part is so relatable. And then you found a solution and you found it in FSBOs. So there may be people tuning in, especially if it was the last couple of years that they jumped in the market and maybe have never made a phone call or called a FSBO. What's some things that you'd say to someone thinking about it? You already said some of them about how valuable the resource is, but what would you say to someone considering it and maybe helping them get started with FSBOs?
Then do it. Get REDX today.
Hey, I like that.
My first listing that day. I mean, what if that happened to you? I took 30 listings in that 30 days. I was going to show you this. A few months later, I got this listing award right here, put on my desk, 25 listings. Most of those were FSBOs. And they put it on my desk, and I remember being upset because it wasn't 30. And people would be like, Hoss, like, how are you doing it? And here's the thing, y'all. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to.
I love that.
I didn't know I wasn't supposed to take a listing a day at the time. And so the first thing is you want to go after people who niches. The riches are in the niches. and for sale by owners and expireds and pre-foreclosures and absentee owners, these are niches that give you the place to go fishing, the place to go have those conversations. For sale by owners are one of the best, because FSBOs answer their phone.
That's right.
Right? Like, you're going to talk to a lot of people because you could be a buyer. And so what you do is you make this a part of your business. You create a system around it. You do it every single day. Consistency is key. I didn't know when I was on the phone talking to for sale by owners, it would lead to what it led to, right? Training agents. And the reason it led to that was because of what you said. It pains me of how many agents fail in this business. They get they get their license and, they fail. The industry has a revolving door, because what they teach us in real estate school, isn't really how to put signs in the ground, Yeah. Like, we got to learn how to market and position ourselves. And the FSBO niche is the best way to do it.
So, and there's a lot of people that, they're like, that's a great idea. I think I want to connect with these FSBO owners, but they also encounter a little bit of fear of hopping on that phone call. Something you said that, hey, they're going to answer their phone because they're looking for buyers. And so once you start talking to them, they're going to realize you're not a buyer and they might be upset. So tell us a little bit about how you get over the kind of that very first part of the conversation when they realize, hey, Hoss isn't calling me to buy my house right now. And so you've got to transition that conversation. What are some things that you say or do to get over that fear and then to get through that conversation?
Stop thinking that way. Like, if you're scared to talk to a FSBO, somebody who already wants to sell their house, you're going to be scared to talk to anybody else too. Right? So the difference is the two types of markets. You have your MET database. These are people that know you. Your database, the people that love you, like you, know you, your sphere of influence. Over here, you have your haven't mets. These are people who don't know you. Your for sale by owners and your expireds, your pre-foreclosures, your farm area, right? Your inbound leads, your outbound strategies. These people don't know you. So the first thing is to separate those two. Is you have the Mets and the haven't Mets. Some of you may be more comfortable going after the Met database. Some of you may be more comfortable going after the haven't Mets. What you have to do is you have to have a healthy balance of both. So you have to be able to have a meaningful conversation with people who don't know you and articulate and conversate in a way that they see that value. And that's what I do, Robert. I help real estate agents go from 0 to 100 quick by giving them the tools and the systems that they have confidence in, because confidence is a big part of this recipe for success is being confident in what you're saying. So here's what you do. Number one is you're the doctor. You got to look at yourself like a doctor. When you're calling a FSBO, you're the doctor. All we're doing is asking questions. We're the authority. We specialize in helping people sell their home for sale by owner. That's what the reason we outsell the average agent 10 to 1, right? We're positioning ourselves as the authority and we're asking questions. So here's what you do when you're talking to any prospect. Selling is simply asking questions. If you were to hear me call a FSBO, I would have asked them a dozen questions before I ever said anything. Made a statement.
Yeah, find out.
So the secret is questions. So let's say you're calling the FSBO. You're like ring ring, and you're like, hey FSBO. The first thing you say is, Mr. FSBO, hey, I see you're selling your property for sale by owner. I was curious, are you willing to pay a 3% co-op if I brought you a qualified buyer? Nah, we're not willing to pay 3%. We'll pay 2%. All right, so you're telling me that if I brought you a qualified buyer, you wouldn't pay 3%? Well, why? If you have a qualified buyer, maybe. Okay. So asking the same question more than once, right? You get different answers.
Yeah.
So if you don't like the answer you got, what you do is you ask the same question again in a different tone, maybe a different way. And if you don't find the answer that you're looking for again, you ask them a third time, because the questions are the key to building rapport and finding common ground and finding the pain that the seller has. And when they're talking, that's a good thing. You know, the key is being in control of the conversation. Whoever is in control wins. So the key to remaining in control is keep asking, keep probing, keep getting them talking. And as they're talking, you're listening for opportunity. You're looking for the pain. You're listening to the situation. And that's where people go wrong, is they feel like they got to get on a phone or an appointment and they have to use scripts. I'm not saying don't use scripts, but this isn't about scripts. These are human beings. It's about a conversation. Memorizing a script you want to know what you're saying, but it needs to have meaning behind it. It needs to have compassion. It needs to be authentic. And so I'm going to give all of you permission now to you don't need to know everything to say, because what happens is when they're doing the talking, oftentimes the next question is obvious.
Yeah.
Otherwise it gets really awkward. And that's where people go wrong, Robert, is it gets a little awkward. It feels a little sleazy, right? Because selling is, if you are just calling to try to sell them or close them. And so that's the first thing, is asking questions, and ignore what it is that they're saying in the sense of their confidence in the market. Well, I sold real estate for 30 years. And so we got this. That's the reason we're doing this stuff. Right. Yeah. And ignore that. Oh, the market is so hot. We're in an amazing neighborhood. Homes sell in a day. We don't need a realtor. We're going to save on the commission. Ignore that stuff. Don't let anything that they say penetrate your spirit, your soul, your mind, because none of that matters, because the marketplace has a way to make people realistic. So The key to FSBOs is follow-up. The key to it is not trying to sell them or close them on that first call. It's to stay in contact. It's to stay in touch. And over the period of a week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks, you're going to see how they went from confident to, oh no, I need help. And you're going to be the only agent that is in contact with them.
That continues. Yeah, that does that follow-up. Yeah, I love it. I love the idea of questions, even with or without a script, right? Like you might have a script, but the best way to know how to use that script or know where to go is to ask questions to find out where they are, because they're a human, and what their pain is and what their worries are. And then the things that you've prepared might make more sense once you've figured out exactly what's going on with their FSBO and the follow-up. I mean, this is just, those are good things to remember when you're making that first phone call.
And you have to run it as a system, Robert. So you have to depend on a CRM. You need the FSBO leads on campaigns. You as the agent need to do what the campaigns tell you to do, and you must do it every day. The consistency is the key. If you do what I'm telling you to do, you can be terrified to make a call today, but in 2 weeks of consistent conversations, your confidence is going to be 10x. And when your confidence increases, what's going to happen is you're going to break the seal, meaning you're going to set an appointment. And when you set an appointment, you go on that appointment and you get the listing, there's no looking back. So for the listeners, your goal and your job is to go break the seal. And don't stop persist until what? Until. Like there's no, well, I'm going to give it an old college try. I'm going to try it. I'll see if I'll take a stab at it. Like right. Eliminate that mindset. Every agent needs to be having a system to market and communicate with for sale by owners.
Yeah. Let's see. Katz has a question about the questions that you're having and kind of knowing that eventually you'll follow up. But do you ever offer something of value like a FSBO guide, or here's some steps to help you home? Is that part of the campaigns you have or anything that you coach?
Yeah. So exactly. So like you would say something like, okay, well, great. Well, do you mind if I stay in contact with you? No, I don't mind. All right. Well, I'm going to send you a free report. It's the 90 things you can't afford to neglect when selling your home. Sellers absolutely love this report. It's chock full of value for you to be able to help get you that property sold. And all I ask is if you do decide to explore other options, I want an opportunity to apply for the job. Does that sound good? Yep. All right. I'll be in touch. And I mail that thing to them. And then I follow up. And then I mail a letter, follow up, mail another letter, follow up. And here's the reason I mail letters. This is the reason that I send a report. It's not for the expectation that my phone's going to ring off the hook. The reason that you mail to a FSBO is because when you do, it gives you permission to call back. So a lot of times, Robert, people struggle with like following up with a FSBO, right? They're like, I've called him 3 times, man. It's really awkward. Like, right? And it is awkward if you don't have a reason to call. So you mail something, and then when you mail something on that follow-up call, you say, hey, Susie, it's Hoss Pratt with ABC Real Estate. Hey, yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Did you get the letter I mailed you earlier this week? Oh, you did? Okay, great. Well, hey, have you sold the property? No, we haven't yet. Well, how are the showings? How are the feedback? Any offers yet? What's going on? I know you're getting close. You got a couple weeks. You need to get this home sold. Are you looking to explore other options yet? You see, now the conversation has a whole different meaning because I started off with, did you get the letter I mailed you earlier this week?
Yeah, and there's a relationship. You're staying top of mind as well, right? So they even know who you are.
That's right.
Make that phone call. Yeah.
And so I think, that's where a lot of people get in trouble. And that's why you got to run it as a system, because you got to market that has to go out consistently. The phone calls have to be consistent. And like, I've helped a lot of people with this, and the ones that, it works if they do every time. And the only way it doesn't work is if they don't do it, if they stop. So one for your notes, y'all, you persist until.
And someone's asking a question about that. Tucson Living. So it's not their, I'm guessing that's not their name, but Tucson Living. They say, hey, I've called and closed FSBOs in the past. My dilemma is the follow-up and a system. Does Hoss have a follow-up system? So they hear what you're saying. They say, hey, we want to do it like you. How do you do it?
You can get my system at FSBOassault.com. FSBO assault, ASSAULT. I'm not telling you to go assault FSBOs. Okay. It's crazy how many people like, that's a terrible name. I'm like, it's an assault, like arsenal, and it's a whole system that has the letters, the reports, the scripts, and everything. And that system is, I believe it's the best in the industry for helping real estate agents, because it's a model for you to follow, and I tell you exactly what to do. So I encourage anybody that's serious to get the FSBO Assault Boot Camp. It will give you everything that you need.
That is awesome, and what a huge value for the audience tuning in, Hoss.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's what people are looking for, right? They hear the story and they've heard your story, they've heard others, they know that making these phone calls can and will end up in listings, but there is this hesitancy in like, but how do I do it? And so yeah, getting to your website and seeing a full program is going to be really helpful to help people get to the end and break that sale, get to the first listing and understand how it's working.
And you know what's so powerful with that is I talked to a gentleman today. He's new. He said, I moved here to San Antonio, Texas from New York. He sounds on Long Island. I talked to him. He sounds like a Long Islander, like I live in Texas. He's got that Long Island accent. He goes, what do I do? I told him FSBOs. And he goes, well, how do I know what to say? I said, here's what happens. I've mastered everything I'm asking you to do. So in my program, I have live call recordings of me calling FSBOs. So you're going to hear me take them from hanging up on me to setting an appointment. And there's 20 of them in there. And I said, when you listen to me and you listen to what I say, that's how people get results fast, is because I'm not just going to hand you a script and say this. You're going to listen to me like you listen to a song on the radio. You're going to hear my rhythm, my tonality. You're going to hear what I say, the questions. And what starts to happen is these things start to come to fruition. You start to get it. And that's what makes my system unique, is because I demonstrate it, and I'm really good at it. And so people learn it way faster than they would by trying to figure it out on their own. I think that's an important thing is, this is for all the agents. Be careful who you listen to, like out there, like you're looking for a solution, you're looking for information. Like some good advice is just listen to me, like just take yourself some time.
That is good advice.
It is like, if you don't listen to me, then at least listen to somebody that has already mastered what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I know there's a lot of different, information out there in people, and it's important you get the right information, because TikTok, right? We need a closing like now. We don't have time.
That's right. And which is another thing that we haven't even brought up, is the value of a FSBO isn't just this conversation that you can have and how to follow up, but that they're trying to sell their house right now. So we're not talking about business 6 months from now or 12 months from now. When you call a FSBO, you're talking about a listing right now.
That's right. And right now, at the time of this, we're live. Like we're coming up on the spring market. School's about to be getting out in 4 weeks. So every single FSBO that REDX sends you, it would behoove them to get this thing listed now, to get it sold before the inventory increases in the spring in about a month. So for all you listeners, like today is the day you want to go after FSBOs. Today is the day you want to get my system, get REDX, and apply massive action in the next 4 weeks and stack in your listings. Because the key, y'all, is to control your inventory. You want to be able to have the ability to have inventory, because when you have inventory, you don't got to worry about buying leads and trying to figure out who to go after. Like that's what solves the problem. So the next 4 weeks are so important, because school's out and we know what happens when that happens. People list their house.
Yeah. This is the right time to do that. And something else about this at the right time. And before we run time, I want to make sure everybody knows this, because if you want to see, meet, and hear more from Hoss, he's going to be speaking with REDX at the EXP shareholders event. So if you're an EXP agent and plan on going, definitely plan on going, but we're going to be there, REDX and Hoss, and we're going to have a whole hour with Hoss where you'll be able to ask questions, and he's going to tell us more about Listing Boss, FSBOs, and his strategies. So I wanted everybody to know that about you, Hoss, because I love talking with him, love hearing your story. And as we've had questions come through, there's obviously a lot of people that want to know more from you. So I want to make sure they knew about that.
Yeah. And that's not just an EXP event too. So if somebody's not with EXP, then show up, be there. Like I'm doing, we're doing an hour with REDX, and then I have a 3-hour training I'm doing. So I'm doing a 3-hour training. I can't believe they gave me the stage for that long. I'm so excited. And like they're gonna get, so I'm gonna train and I'm gonna go deep into this stuff, and that alone will be worth the ticket. And I'd love to see anybody there. And they can get the information from you, Robert.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll make sure that we send that out. Well, Hoss, we are coming up on time, and so, but I wanted to give you last word. Is there anything that we didn't get to today that you wanted to make sure you shared with the audience, or something you want to say before we're all wrapped up here?
Yeah, I just want you all to know that you're not affected by the market. You're not affected by interest rates, the economies. You're not affected by those things. The only thing you're affected by is not shifting and changing. You have full control over your success in any market. I know there's a lot of people out there that are all scared of the market. Like, listen, markets come, markets go. The one thing that is tried and true and stand alone are the niches. The FSBO niche is going to continue to grow. And this year, there's going to be a lot more of those folks coming on the market. So you want to make sure you have a system that you can go out and capture your fair share. And I want to encourage you to do that. I'm here to help and support you. This is what I do every day, all day, full time. And I know REDX does as well. So we're an incredible team to help you. And just take action, massive action. Invest in yourself. Invest the right time doing the right things. Have more conversations with prospective sellers. Don't let a day go by without talking to a potential seller. Like that's what it's crazy. Let's get the system set up once and for all. And I know myself and REDX, we will happy to help you do it.
Yeah. And one more time, I want to make sure everybody knows it's FSBOassault.com.
Yes.
To go see more about that, about your system, and be able to start looking at everything you do, from getting those leads, loading them up, and your daily activities to get those listings. So, and Hoss is providing that, or inviting everyone to that today. So you can make sure that you go there. Hoss, thank you so much for your time. I know you are a busy guy, and we got you today. We got you a couple weeks from now at the shareholder event. Excited to have you there. And we're so grateful for everyone else who hopped on and listened today, whether you're listening live right now or listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Hoss, thank you for being on. And if you make sure that you get our next episode, just check out redx.com/podcast to know what's upcoming. And we will see you again next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.